everybody, welcome to JDL Cooks. I'm Shelly, I'm from the Parma branch. Today we're going to be making two really warm winter dishes. I have the beginnings of some turkey chili. In the pot already I have started my onions, peppers, and 2 cloves of garlic that I have minced. I have added the turkey to this, so this is all nice and browned. I've added seasoning to the turkey. I've added half of a teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and then 1 tablespoon of chili powder to the turkey, because you want to make sure that you flavor the chili throughout the dish. Then you can see how nice and crispy the bottom is as well. You want to make sure that you scrape all that up, because that's going to add in another layer of flavoring to the chili. So I'm just going to stir that around. So now that this is done browning, I'm going to add in the rest of the ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to add in is 1 15-ounce can of Petite diced tomatoes. You can add regular diced tomatoes. You can add crushed tomatoes if you wanted. You can add tomato sauce, and then an 8-ounce can of tomato paste. So I'm just gonna gently put those in there, make sure I get it all. Then I'm also going to add in 1 can of tomato soup. Some people think this is a little weird, adding the tomato soup, but the reason I add the tomato soup is the tomato soup does 2 things. It acts as a thickener for the chili, and 2, when you add tomato sauce or tomato paste or crushed tomatoes or whole tomatoes, you have to add sugar to balance the tartness or the sweetness or the tanginess of the tomatoes. So the tomato soup already has that sugar in it, so I don't have to add any more extra sugar to it. And I don't have to worry about stirring any of this like I would if I was cooking it on the stovetop. And then I'm going to add in 1 full can of light kidney beans with juices. And also add in 1 full can of dark kidney beans juices, because the juices will also help thicken it, because you don't want your chili to be runny like you would a soup. And then now for the seasonings, we're going to add in 2 to 3 tablespoons of chili powder. It depends on how hot you like it. I like mine kind of extra spicy, so I tend to do more on the 3 tablespoons.
So you measure with your heart?
Yes. Measure with your heart. And then for garlic powder, even though I added it to the turkey and I have minced garlic, I will still add it to the sauce. So this is going to be another probably teaspoon, and then another 1/4 of a teaspoon to 1/2 a teaspoon of onion powder, and probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. I do not add salt to this because the tomatoes are already salty, the tomato soup is salty. I do add Frank's hot sauce, which is another layer of salt, so I do not add extra salt to my chili. If you want to add salt after the chili is done, you can do that. The only thing now that I am going to do that is extra is that this is a little thick, so I'm just going to add an extra can of water to it, and I'm going to stir it around because I still had a little bit of extra soup there at the bottom that I just didn't get to. Pour that on top. I'm not even going to stir it, like I said. I'm just going to turn the lid on. Alright, there you go. I'm going to make sure that it's on seal, not in the venting section. And there's 2 options that you can do. Not every Instant Pot has the bean/chili program. That is the program that I'm going to use. I'm going to press this. It is already programmed for 30 minutes. I'm going to turn it down to 25 minutes, and that's all I have to do. If you don't have this chili or bean, you can just press your pressure cook and do it for about 20 to 25 minutes. That's the only difference that you're going to do. If you were going to make this on the top of the stove, you would do this in a Dutch oven, and you would make it the same way. You would use about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You're gonna brown your onions, peppers, and garlic. Then you're gonna add your meat. You're gonna add your seasonings to the meat mixture. At home, what I do is I actually let that cook and soften and become nice and tender, probably for about 2 hours. And I keep adding water to it. Once that 2 hours is up, I add my cans of beans, my tomatoes, my tomato soups, my seasonings, my hot sauce, and I let that just simmer on the stove probably for another hour. Once that's done, dish it up. If you like some fixings on your chili, you can use sour cream, cheese, you can do some green onions on it. I serve it with some bread, cornbread, crackers. It's delicious. If I wanted to stretch it, this makes about 6 to 8 servings. If I wanted to stretch it, I don't necessarily use extra meat. What I do is I throw in some extra beans. You can use whatever you have in your pantry or on your shelf. This is really just grab from your fridge or your pantry and throw it together. It's really super easy. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I'm gonna clean up, then Annette's gonna come in and she's gonna make you some chicken soup.
Hi, I'm Annette. I work at Parma with Shelly. Today we're going to make chicken soup, which is a great way for you to use any little leftover pieces of chicken. Pretty much a basic recipe, but you can do all kinds of different things with it. So far all I've done, I've got celery, onions, and carrots that I've softened just a little bit. I've got a little bit of poultry seasoning on here. I just put a little bit of butter in here and sauteed them until they were just a little bit soft. It's kind of not necessary because the pressure cooker will go ahead and cook it all by itself, but it does give a little bit of extra flavor and it gives it a little bit of a head start. If you didn't have a pressure cooker, you could do it on the stove, you could do it in a crock pot, whatever you want to do. Basically, I'm going to teach you to make a basic chicken soup, and then what you just decide to do with it is going to be up to you. You can do Italian, you can do chicken and dumplings, you can do whatever you want to with just the basics. So we've got 1 onion, probably 4 carrots, and 3 or 4 ribs of celery, all just diced up. This is chicken stock. I made my own, but you can use it out of a box. This is 3 cups. I think that's about how much you're gonna get in one of those containers that you get at the grocery store. And I'm also gonna add 3 cups of water, just to boost it up. Now, if you were gonna eat this pot of soup right away, you can put your noodles in now. The longer the noodles stay in the pressure pot, the bigger they're gonna get. So I go ahead and do my noodles ahead of time and I just add them to the bowl now. I'm not gonna add my chicken. If you were adding raw chicken, you'd add it now. I'm actually using rotisserie chicken that I just picked off the bones. I'm gonna go ahead and start this. I'm just gonna put it on for about 10 minutes. Just lets the vegetables get all nice and soft and the broth gets a little bit of extra flavor. If you were using something on the stove, which is probably the way I would do this because it's so fast, you just boil it for 10 or 15 minutes. You want the vegetables to be nice and tender and you want the broth to pick up some flavor from it. What I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was making your own chicken stocks. When you make your own chicken stock, you save a ton of money and it's probably from stuff that you were gonna throw away. When I get a rotisserie chicken and I take all the meat off of it, I've got a carcass. I've got nothing but bones. If you take those bones and you add them to things like the peelings from your carrots, the bottoms of the celery that you cut off because you didn't want it, or the leaves, you can put it in your crock pot overnight with some water and you get a wonderful chicken stock. All right, I'm gonna put this on for 10 minutes. I've got noodles here. I haven't added my chicken meat because it's already cooked. We'll add those in a little bit and we'll see what we got.
We're back. The chili's finished. Annette's gonna add the chicken to the soup and then she's gonna pour it over the noodles.
Stir it up so that it gets hot again. In the bowl, all I have is some already cooked noodles. I use the stir fry noodles because they're not so big. They're more like the Campbell size noodles, but you can do whatever you want. And there you go.
So that's the soup. And then for the chili, when it was done, there was a little bit too much water in it for my liking. So all I did is I turned off the bean and chili program and I put it back on saute, which is this button down here in the corner. And I just sauteed it and stirred it occasionally, probably for about 5 to 7 minutes. And that helped re-thicken it. And then, like I said, you can top it with cheese, sour cream, and then some green onions if you wanted to. But other than that, it's all set and ready to be eaten. So there you have it. You have two nice, simple, warm meals to make on a cold winter's night. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please give us a ring at Springport or Parma Branch. I'm Shelly, and this is Annette, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.